This is the 2026 Ram Rebel, and I'm going to make the bold claim. I think it's the best powertrain in the half-ton segment on the market. Look at that beefy frame, skid plates, massive driveline, and the ultra-reliable ZF 8-speed transmission. It also has steel bumpers and recovery hooks. Looking at you, Toyota. This Rebel has a level 1 package, and what you see here is the Canyon Lake color. It actually is kind of a dark green as the sun goes down or at night, and it kind of looks a little bit darker, maybe a little more gray. And then in the daylight, as you'll see here in a minute, you'll see it turn to a much brighter green color, kind of a shape-shifting color. Also nice, it is blacked out from the factory, so you don't have to waste time deleting the chrome. As you'll see here, some nice LED fog lights. It has LED reflector headlights. A lot of people complain about them. I think they're just fine. So here's the low beams. There's no real light out here to speak of. Really good distance. And if I hit the brights, I mean, it really goes as far as the eye can see. I feel safe. Got 33-inch Duratrax, as you see there. I like the steel bumpers, the recovery hooks, the actual design of everything, including the location of the intercoolers. It's a pretty well-built truck. Here's a better look at that Canyon Lake color and a little brighter sunlight. Totally changes color, as you can see. We've got two 75/70 18s, 14.9-inch front ventilated discs. It does have brake assist, electric park, brake, and hill hold and descent controls. Has blind spot monitors and signals in the mirrors. For 2026, it just says 1500 Hurricane. Those are non-active vents, fake vents on the top of the hood. There's a little look at the headlights here, just reflectors, as I said previously. But they do look fine, incandescent blinkers. Notice the intercoolers, radiators, everything's really well protected from rocks. I've seen a lot of other brands. I've seen a lot of guys in the Toyota forums complaining about rocks hitting their intercoolers. So I do think the design of this seems pretty well built. We'll see how it holds up over time. These Duratrax have a lot of meat on them, but they do hum a little bit on the highway, so there is a downside to everything. It's all about trade-offs. Got a double control arm setup with Bilstein shocks, and the location of that CV joint looks like a nice angle on it. I don't think it's going to have a lot of problems. These are coilover, they ride great. A little bit less plush than, say, the Bighorn package or Laramie. And really decent-sized rear rotors as well. I believe 14.8 inches on the rear. Single piston caliper. And take a look at some of these electrical connections underneath this rear wheel. More on that a little later. I think it's one of the cleanest looking trucks on the market. I love the dual exhaust in the back. It's tucked up nice and tight. Nice tow hitch included here with the trailer tow package. Also a nice beefy rear axle. Got the rear anti-sway, rear multi-link suspension with coils. Rides amazing. Visually, everything looks really well built. We'll see how it holds up over time. Here's a good shot of that split dual exhaust coming out the back. It is tucked up pretty high, so you have a nice departure angle and the step there to assist you getting into the bed if you need it. I like the location of the 7-pin and 4-pin here above the bumper, not below. Helps it keep clean, and it's just a better location, easier for trailering. Does have the sliding rear window in back. This also came with the spray-in bed package. It does have the Utilitrax style tie-downs and the rails. It also has the 400-watt inverter, and that step all comes with that bed package. Also includes these LED lights, which actually are really nice under the tonneau cover I got for it. And a nice little feature on the key fob. You can click twice, get that tailgate to drop. This doesn't have the power tailgate. It won't lift back up. You have to do it manually, but still a nice feature if you've got stuff in your hands and you just want to drop that tailgate. So far, I'm pretty happy with it. Over here in this corner, there's a little bit of a rattle still, and it's up here. And I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to either take it to the dealer or do it myself, but that's about the only real problem I found with it. The other issue I've had is with the wireless CarPlay, the music skips a little bit. So give it a little gas here. I don't have any delusions that I could be reeling in that Tesla in a 0 to 60, but it is kind of cool that this truck can move out the way it does. For how large this thing is, it absolutely rips. It is a rocket. While they're functioning, they're a kick in the pants to drive, so we'll see how it goes. Now the Ram specifically with the Hurricane is one of the quickest trucks if you care. I don't really care all that much. Towing is more important to me, like low end torque. But these inline sixes, so here we come onto this ramp. Give it the beans here, as they say. So pretty peppy and quiet. I mean, it's just really low drama. Yeah, if we go like 65 and just give it the gas, it'll downshift. I mean, it's there quick. It's really, really snappy. What I like about it is even when it downshifts, it's pretty smooth. It's not like it hammers you and feels unruly. Just feels really smooth and controllable. Really, one of the main reasons I wanted this truck specifically was just how quiet they are. Braking is really good. They feel really good, really responsive. They don't feel too mushy. These big tires really float more than anything. I think any of the floatiness you feel in these Rebels or the Warlocks, it's probably just coming from the meaty tires. Everything else feels really good. The steering feels pretty responsive. All right, we're in sport mode and it puts it in 4-wheel drive auto. Traction control is off by default when you switch to sport mode. So that's essentially what it's doing for you. We'll get up here and do some 0 to 60. So we're at 5,000 feet too. So it's not like it's going to be some perfect test, but it'll give you guys an idea if you're at elevation, how these things run at this elevation. It is pretty wild. We'll give it a little start here. And 60. Not bad. At this elevation, things pretty ridiculous. It really is. I definitely won't be in sport mode for very long, but it is pretty cool to do some tests with. We'll do one more test here. Oh man. And 60. Whew. Man, that was a launch. So that one I had a little bit better power brake. Now normally, I'm just not into that. I don't do that stuff, but this thing is stupid fast for the standard output. I honestly, the high output, I haven't driven one. These guys say it's ridiculous. It has to be ridiculous. Like day to day, I can't imagine you needing really anything more than the standard output, even towing. This does have the 392 gear, so it does jump a lot. It's going to jump off that line, but yeah, it totally rips. I did not expect that from the standard output. For whatever reason, I thought, it's a standard output. It'll be fine for my day-to-day driving. I don't need something crazy, but I'm shocked at how much torque and just how hard it pulls through the entire power band. So more power than most people ever need. These trucks are getting absolutely ridiculous, and the fact that they're pulling it out of a 3-liter does make you a little bit concerned, like how high strung is this thing to get that much juice out of it in 3 liters. It is, whew. Give you a nice shot of the suspension there. Everything underneath. A nice skid plate. Big anti-sway bar. Got the ZF transmission right there. Tucked up pretty high. Pretty good quality exhaust system. Although, I will say that I kind of wish that was tucked up a little higher, or that there was some protection for it. When you look at everything else here, you've got the skid plate here running back for the transfer case, and then we've got the steel skid plate down here on the gas tank. So all these are steel, which is a nice touch. And then of course the rear suspension got that multi-link little dog bone style suspension here, and the Bilsteins in the back. Lots of travel back here. There are some things that I don't like when you find this back here. This is towards the back of the vehicle, and that's just really exposed when you look at that wiring harness. They probably could have done a lot better job covering that up, maybe even just wrapping it, coating it with some stuff, but you know, this is going to get a lot of dust towards the back of the vehicle. That's pretty normal. Some stuff like that, you can see that they definitely could improve on the design, especially for an off-road vehicle. The exhaust comes back here. We've got the aluminum drive line. There's your exhaust that runs back. So all pretty nice and clean. There is a decent amount of room down here. So because it is an inline six, I mean, I can get my hands down in there from the lower side as well. Pretty easy to work on as far as the oil filter and location of everything. And there is some room back here. So I suppose if you had to work on this thing, which I don't plan on doing for a long time, well, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It definitely wouldn't be much fun though. One thing that's missing, and this is what everybody says they can't believe, they didn't put a dipstick on this engine. Everything's monitored from the system in the cab. I think that they should have at least put a dipstick in it. There's really no downside to it, and then you get the best of both worlds. All the soft touch material, everything's built really well, really sturdy door cards. I love these roller switches. This is actually really nice. You got the rollers for the interior lighting and the radial lighting. You don't have to go into a menu. That was a really well thought out thing. You also have the pedal adjustment. It is nice because of the location of this. I actually like bringing the pedals out a little bit and moving the seat back, so it's nice to have that adjustment. You got your parking brake, cargo outlet. The overall layout of the dash or of the steering wheel is relatively simple. You get your drive modes. You can cycle through and customize your dash. You can actually really customize the digital part. Truthfully, I kind of like the Warlock with the analog gauges. Gear limiters here. That's really just for when you're towing. And then I do like that they have this dedicated button for the adaptive cruise, because I tend to use the non-adaptive cruise. So I'll click this and set, and that is non-adaptive cruise, which is really nice that they're both dedicated buttons on here. I've had some cars that don't have that, and you always have to turn the adaptive off and it resets. So I do like that they dedicated those right there. That's actually a big deal to me, just for usability. Got your auto stop start. Nice that you can turn that off with a dedicated button right by your shifter. Cruise control, your axle lock, 4 high, 4 low, auto 4, 2-wheel drive. So this is actually a really nice design. You'd be surprised. People say, hey, I want a shifter. But the thing that you really gain is all this space. When you gain all this space and you can just move this back and, you know, your shifter's not right here, you actually gain more. For me, I just am not shifting automatic trucks that often when I'm on the road. And if I am towing, I'm going to end up using these anyway. So I was okay with that. But overall, level 1 package is actually really nice. I like that there's no screen over there. I already mentioned that. It is a gigantic truck in the back. Interior design is really nice on the level 1, and even on a lot of the lower trim models. I like Ram's design and the layout. Got the gauges here with the transmission temperature, coolant temperature, oil temperature, all that. So we got a little merge here, super quiet. I mean, you can pick up speed so quick in this truck. And I'm not a guy that races trucks. I'm not sitting there at every stoplight gunning it. I mean, come on, let's not get crazy. I'm not an EcoBoost driver, right? But this thing is so dang smooth. And you look here, we're going 75, and that was maybe 1/16 of the throttle to get there whenever we want. Now, I love V8s and V6s, don't get me wrong. For reliability, I think they're still the best way to go. If you're looking for a 15 to 20 year car, absolutely probably steer clear of these turbocharged platforms. There's a lot going on under the hood. We've got intercoolers, we've got water pumps that are, electric water pumps that are running after the truck shuts off. There's all sorts of electronics, dual batteries, dual intercoolers, I believe. And everybody's starting to see what all of this complexity means. It means a lot more power per liter, a lot more maintenance. If you have more components, especially complicated components that are part of the engine, you are going to have more problems earlier and more problems late. That's the name of the game right now. All these turbo platforms, they will become reliable in the sense that they're reliable for turbo platforms, but they're not going to be reliable like the car I see here in my rear view. It's a 2010, 2011-ish 4Runner, cast iron differentials, 4-liter V6 with port injection, no direct injection, no cylinder shut off, none of that. 5-speed automatic, very boring to drive, kind of slow to get on the throttle, but that car is going to be insanely reliable. You'll notice on the dash here, 658 miles when I filled up. I had about 661 miles range. So on the last tank, I got 21 miles per gallon. I went 500 miles, went over the mountains up to about 10 or 12,000 feet, back down to 7,000 feet, then came home over 12,000 feet again, back to about 4,900 feet. And on that trip, over 500 miles, I averaged 21 miles per gallon on the computer. Hand calc was about 20.4 miles per gallon in this truck with 33-inch tires. Now, part of that is I'm at higher elevation, because if you keep your foot out of it, there's less oxygen, so naturally you're going to have less fuel in the engine. So I can get probably 1 to 2 miles per gallon better when I get up at high elevation than a lot of folks could, but I just found it interesting. You see here this is another reason why I'm considering going to 0W40 oil. Just thought I'd show you this on the dash. So we're just buzzing along here. It is 63 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so not hot by any means. And we've just been driving for about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Our trans temp is at 181. There goes a jackass, check that guy out. Trans temp is at 181, oil temps at 211, coolant temps at 210. So what you'll see, I mean, this is not towing. Look at this jackass. I mean, come on, buddy. And these guys wonder why they get a bad name. Look, if you ride a bike, I've been on those sport bikes. I've owned them before. If you ride one of those sport bikes and you don't want people to get so upset with you that they're swerving their cars and knocking you off your bike, don't drive like that. It's real simple. Don't make people angry and don't drive like a fool, and then people won't hate you and your type. It's so simple. Anyway, diverted. So 0W20 versus 0W40. I think if you're towing in this platform, especially, you're going to see these temps just buzzing down the highway. I'm going to see 211. Now, 0W20, I think it starts to thin out, like above 220. That's when it really starts to thin out. So if I'm towing in this thing at this elevation, I know for a fact that's going to climb. That's going to be well over 220. So viscosity is going to reduce. Now, who knows if the shearability and all that other stuff is going to stay in spec. But I can almost guarantee, I'm just speculating a little bit here. If you're towing in a standard output Hurricane, I'm guessing a 040 is gonna do better. It's gonna hold viscosity better as those oil temps climb. So I'd encourage you guys to watch your oil temps if you own these trucks and just see what they're getting up to when you're either on it, really hard on it, maybe in the middle of the summer. Can you imagine in Texas, it's 100 degrees, or even here in the middle of summer. And when you're at 100 degrees, 110 degrees here in the middle of summer, and you're towing, and you're going up the pass, and you're pushing 25 PSI a boost for half an hour or an hour, what do you think that oil is going to be at? I can almost guarantee you, even with the cooling, because of the ambient temperature, it's going to go up 230, 240, 250, and that's not going to protect. I can't imagine that oil protecting your bearings and the critical parts in your engine as well as a 040 in those situations. So obviously it's specific to the situation, but always consider that in these new turbo platforms especially. I think the Ram that we're in now, I think the standard output Hurricane is the best half-ton platform on the market. That's my opinion. Everybody can feel free to argue with me. It is, I think, the most reliable powertrain. Now, I didn't say the entire truck's going to be more reliable. I like the interior better. I think it's quieter. It rides nicer. I like the suspension. I like the powertrain. Compared to other brands and what I see, the Ram powertrain and the standard output Hurricane, and even the Hemi to a certain extent, I think is more reliable paired with the ZF transmission than any of the other half tons right now. I like Toyota's transmission. I don't like Toyota's engine yet. We'll see if they get it figured out. I don't like GM 6253 and the 3.0 Duramax right now. Maybe I'll like the 3.0 Duramax and the new V8s when they come out. but I don't like their transmission. I don't like Ford's transmission. I don't like that co-developed 10-speed. Just don't want to deal with the problems in the valve body. That's my personal opinion. That's how I evaluate vehicles. And then the interior in this truck is just the icing on the cake. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. I know it's been a while since I bought the truck. I wanted to wait to do a full review because I wanted to actually get some miles on the truck. So right now I'm at 1,800 miles, and I just didn't want to do a review before I knew kind of my thoughts. You know, when you have something and it's brand new, you love everything about it. And then as you have it a little bit longer, you kind of start to figure out, you figure out the quirks and the things that you might like or not like. I'm in the Hurricane Facebook groups and forums all the time. And the one thing I'm not seeing constantly, every single day, every single week, the one thing I'm not seeing is engine and transmission problems. If you see a Ram Hurricane on a flatbed, it's almost always the battery. Almost always. They get a new battery and then everything's fine for a while. I do think they have some parasitic drain or some issues they have to figure out with these batteries, and just the architecture of this electrical system. It's a completely new architecture. But beyond that, you know, if the worst thing that I'm projected to have is like my truck might not start because it drained the battery, I think in 2026, it's fair to say that that's probably the best you're going to get. You don't see ZF valve bodies failing. You don't see the transmissions failing that often, if ever. And I've seen maybe one or two Hurricanes online that I found as failures out of probably, I don't know, 200,000 or 300,000 sold. They've had them in the Wagoneer. They've had them out actually a year or two before the Ram got this standard output Hurricane. So they've been out long enough to where I think if we were seeing a widespread problem like the Tundra, like the debris issue, I think we'd be seeing it already. It's just my opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Till next time.